Imagine taking a strategic, connective approach to your next business expansion, placing your business in the heart of the Caribbean as a hub between USA, Latin America, and Europe. Imagine enjoying the perks of a modern, accessible international airport that offers pre-clearance to all USA destinations. Let us introduce you to Aruba. Aruba offers the best of the Caribbean, has great foreign relations, and a strong democratic and judicial system with strong ties to Europe. Do business inside the same political stable environment you are used to. Aruba's government stands out globally as one of the most highly rated countries when it comes to governance indicators that nurtures investors' confidence. And for decades, Aruba has fostered optimal economic conditions for sustained influx of foreign investors. Because Aruba enjoys a market-driven economy supported by the thriving tourism industry, foreigners are welcome to own property. You can also enjoy the ease of well-developed commercial banking system for all your business needs. Even the weather cooperates for your business success, keeping your next investment safe right outside the hurricane belt, so you can keep operations going all year round. And what is a business without the freedom to explore rich, diverse natural resources a short drive away? Delight in unique flavors and a wide variety of nightlife and entertainment options. We definitely know how to show you a good time, bring you much needed relaxation time. Make a success of your next investment. Accessing the most cosmopolitan, diversified, multicultural, and multilingual workforce in the region. Here, you have ample access to highly educated staff and business partners to get your operations off to a strong start.
Buonvenue na Aruba, one happy investment island.
Bon dia, bonbini. Welcome again to Day 3 of the Aruba Investment Summit, brought to you by the Aruba Investment Agency, ARINA. My name is Evelyn Wever-Croes, an economist and agile coach, and today I will be hosting this event once more. Yesterday was an interesting day, both content-wise and IT-wise, and we are very happy that we saw through the poll results that most of you thought that the day was still good. I hope you were able to ingest most of the information received by our vast number of speakers. To shortly recap, we began the day with a presentation from the Aruba Port Authority NV, where we learned about the maritime logistics and the sector, its recovery kind of post-crisis and growth opportunities despite the enormous hit caused by the ongoing pandemic in the cruise industry and in the cargo industry. We have learned about new development plans for the port city in Oranjestad and how it plans to connect Arubans and our visitors and complement the existing downtown area. We also learned about the expansion of the Aruba Airport Reina Beatrix in order to accommodate more passengers and also create a better experience for all the passengers. The AAA is also looking into the feasibility of introducing electric flying between the islands in the hopes to become more sustainable and also significantly reduce the cost of flying per passenger and also have a more reliable service when it comes to flying in between the islands. This, of course, will be done in partnerships with our neighboring islands. We also heard from Erik Meijts from the University of Aruba and the System Cluster Project in how they are contributing to our knowledge economy by partnering up with renowned universities around the world and the local private sector so as to enhance the experience and quality of education for the students, while at the same time providing quality R&D to our private sector in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We also heard a testimonial by Mr. Martin Berkenkamp in his experience in starting up a business consortium in Aruba in the area of green technology. We closed the day with Mr. Jan Westra, who talked about innovation in agriculture and how this can be an opportunity in Aruba and small island states. Thank you for attending this summit today, and I look forward to another insightful day. I would like to thank our sponsors again for their contribution to this event: ActionCOACH, Elite, GDP Digital, and CETAR NV. Today's agenda will look a little bit like this. I'm going to give a short introduction about two other units within the Department of Economic Affairs, Commerce and Industry of Aruba, which have greatly contributed to the success of this summit. Afterwards, I will introduce the founder of ActionCOACH, Mr. Brett Sugars. There will be a short presentation of the Aruba Export Week, which is happening next week. We will then have another keynote speech to get to know more about the internationalization strategy of Royal Aruba Aloe. Following that will be a presentation by OCTA, realizing the potential of the overseas countries and territories for sustainable blue growth. We will close off with a message from the Prime Minister of Aruba. And don't forget to join the roundtable event today at the end of this morning, where you can ask all your questions to DIP, Dimas, Arena, Free Zone Aruba, and ActionCOACH. Let me begin by introducing the two other units of the Department of Economic Affairs, Commerce, and Industry. As you know, Arena is one of them and is hosting the event for today. But we also have another unit called IDEA. IDEA stands for Initiative for the Development of Aruba Enterprises. The goal of IDEA is to offer free help and extensive guidance to the entrepreneurs who want to start a small business, who many times encounter different challenges, such as basic business skills, access to credit, technology, marketing, and different existing regulations. IDEA wants to provide information and assistance to the new starting businessman, as well as to the existing businessman, and to offer them guidance in developing innovative ideas and to continue enhancing their business activities. IDEA will contribute to the formation of sustainable development in the business sector, to increase productivity and efficiency, and to have a strong and healthy labor market. Thank you, IDEA, for all that you do. The other unit that I wanted to introduce to you today shortly, as we will have a presentation given by them later, is ExportDesk. ExportDesk helps entrepreneurs export their products and services around the world. It facilitates SMEs and potential exporters with the necessary export information and assistance to successfully export. ExportDesk's mission is to contribute to economic sustainable development and innovation in Aruba by building export capacity among entrepreneurs. Requirements for identifying and penetrating specific export markets, as well as providing assistance and guidance on regulatory issues and intellectual property rights when exposing products or services to potential foreign customers, are a few of the services ExportDesk provides to its clients. And I think that's very, very important. So thank you, ExportDesk, for all that you do as well. Today, IDEA made it possible for me to introduce to you our first speaker of the day, Mr. Brett Sugars. He is the founder and CEO of ActionCOACH. Brett Sugars is a best-selling author and the #1 business coach in the world, according to Entrepreneur magazine. Brett came from humble beginnings, but has built a life and a business that many would cite as the very definition of success. Brett is the founder of the global business coaching franchise ActionCOACH, which has over 1,000 offices in 60 countries, working with tens of thousands of business owners, delivering his simple yet powerful business growth techniques. Brett has written about 17 business books. His presentation has been pre-recorded especially for the Aruban market. I hope you enjoy every minute of it. Mr. Brett Sugars.
Well, hi, I'm Brad Sugars, and it's great to be coming to you virtually here at the Aruba Investment Summit. You know, one of the great things about Aruba is that it has a lot of natural beauty. One of the other great things, it has a lot of natural talent, meaning great entrepreneurs and great investors who've done some phenomenal things. The challenge is, I see a lot of these great entrepreneurs who, they get to a certain point and the businesses stop growing because they're making good money. Well, now it's time as a nation, now it's time as a country in Aruba to really kick in and stop building our investments and stop building. I know when my team at ActionCOACH first invested in Aruba, we looked at the market and thought, wow, not only is it a great place to visit, but it's a great place to do business. And today I want to show you a little bit about not just why we invested in Aruba and how we invested in Aruba, but how you can become a bigger part of the growth of this nation, the growth of everything. You know, I want to say to the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Minister of Finance, thank you for having me as part of this summit, but also thank you for taking the lead. Taking the lead and creating a group of people who will manage those of us that want to invest further in Aruba, to take a group of people and help educate to do that. I think it's a phenomenal thing. Where I want to start is by understanding what creates a great investor, what creates a great entrepreneur. And then we're going to take a look at how you can take some of the businesses and create these massive things that come from the disruption and the innovation that's coming from this virtual viral world that we live in today. Let's be blunt. This virtual world has created for itself a great deal of challenge. You know, there is no two ways around that fact that I know for me in my businesses where we had to literally shut down because there was just no business, to my other companies where we've gone on boom because, you know, commercial cleaning, dang, we needed that and it was so much there. But here's the biggest thing. The mindset that you approach this virtual world with is going to be one that will either make you boom or make you bust. You know, over the last 12 months, maybe 18 months, by the time we get through this whole thing, we sit back and we look at a world that has leapt forward in virtualization somewhere between 7 to 10 years. So what would have taken 7 to 10 years has taken 7 to 10 months. And that is either going to destroy someone's business or it's going to make it much stronger. And if you're willing to adapt and willing to change, then it can make it much stronger. I know several of my businesses where we sat down at the start of this thing and thought, how are we even going to survive this? How are we going to keep our employees? And I'm proud to say that we kept every employee in every single company through this entire thing. And many of them built through this entire thing. Some of them were coming out of it much stronger than we went into it. And others, yep, we're limping out of that dang thing. But we're going to get through it and we're going to keep every employee and we're going to keep growing through this thing. But what we have done is we've done this. We've used this opportunity to examine our businesses and say, what business are we in? Where are we going in the future? Because if the business we're in is not going to be a future-based business, then we're liable to be disrupted. We're liable that innovation could come along and put us out of business. And too often businesses don't examine that. I remember an interview with Bill Gates many years ago. And they asked Bill a very important question about Microsoft. They said to him, are you worried that somewhere someone will destroy Microsoft or come up with better software that'll get rid of it? He said, you know, we plan on the fact that there's a kid in a garage somewhere creating a business that will put Microsoft out of business. We want that. We want to think that way. We always want to be looking at it. And I challenge you to think of your business in an innovative way. I challenge you to disrupt your industry and start thinking, how is it that we can make money no matter what? How is it and what business do we need to be in? Now, I don't have the answer for you because I don't know your specific business. But what I do know is this. We at ActionCOACH, literally we coach tens of thousands of businesses every single week. And to get them all through this pandemic period was tough in some cases. But by challenging their thinking and by asking them this question, how do you come out of this thing double the size you went into it? By challenging them with that thinking, it made them start realizing that, hey, there is opportunity in this challenge. You see, biggest opportunity comes through crisis. The biggest opportunity comes in times of disruption. The biggest opportunity comes in times of challenge. If we go back to 2008, 2010 even, when so many businesses were struggling because of the massive global economic crisis, hey, hang on a second. Didn't people start Instagram then? Wasn't WhatsApp invented? Didn't Airbnb get invented in that time? What about Uber? That was invented. See, these things that were invented in this time are massive. And I look at the entrepreneurs in Aruba, and having visited multiple times and given seminars and chatted with many of you on many occasions, one of the things I notice is that you are phenomenal entrepreneurs through a sheer need. See, what you have in Aruba, the lack of amount of skills available, you have to make up for in ingenuity. You have to make up for it in the way you think. And that, my friends, allows and positions you to be great entrepreneurs on a global stage. And I want you to start thinking more globally with this thing. One of the greatest things about a virtual world is that it's removed the boundaries. It's removed all of that sort of stuff. It's added other boundaries, which are obviously going to create challenge. But sometimes when you sit back and say, you know what? We're a country based on one main income source. Maybe we need to think about things. Maybe we need to add other income sources. Maybe we need to start thinking of ourselves in a different way as a country and not just leaning back on the one thing that's been the easy one to make our money all this time. Now, that being said, as an investor, every investor around the planet right now, there is more capital available for investment today than there ever has been before. And that's why, as an investor, we got to look at the opportunity that this thing brings. What is it that there is an opportunity for us? How is it that we can take advantage of this and make massive gains from this thing rather than allowing it to disrupt, destroy, and take the innovation and we got to catch up sort of thing. You want to be ahead in the disruption, ahead in the innovation. Now, that brings me to an interesting point, and that is to become an investor. You know, a lot of business people are great business people, but not investors. I teach a ladder. In fact, in this book here, Billionaire in Training, I teach the ladder of how you actually become an investor. It starts out, obviously, as a student. You know, you go to school, you go to college, and you learn how to get a job. That's essentially what you get taught in school, how to go and get a job. You know, you're an apprentice employee. Once you become an employee, now, unfortunately, most people stay at that level for the rest of their life. They don't actually want to start their own business. They don't actually want to go out there and create. You know, I've been quoted many, many times about things like this and saying that, you know, if you don't go and build your own dreams, someone will employ you to build theirs. And that's still true today as if it was when I first said it. But here's the challenge. As an employee, you got to you got to be understanding that your job is to learn how to start your own business. An employee is an apprentice business owner. An employee is someone who wants to build something eventually and go out and do that on their own. Because if you've got the talent to start your own business, then you should. Once you learn how to do it, then go and do it for yourself. Okay? Now, as an employee, you got to learn a bunch of things, of course. But so do you at self-employed level. When you start your own business, when you're self-employed, you got to learn things like sales, like marketing. You got to learn things like customer service. You got to learn how to do everything because it's just you and your business in the beginning. Now, eventually you step up to the level called manager where you start to employ other people. And guess what you got to learn there? Yeah, you got to learn how to recruit, learn how to hire, learn how to train people, learn business planning, learn systemization, learn how to manage people, how to lead people. All of these things that my coach Dave does a wonderful job of coaching his clients in Aruba and the team there how to do that sort of stuff. Now, at that manager level, you're ultimately building the ideal point. And that is a business. Now, let me give you my definition of a business because I think it's different to most people's. A business, by my definition, is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. You see, in business, you want to build wealth. You don't just want to build a cash flow stream. You want to build an asset. You want to build something that runs without you, something that's saleable, something that can run whether you are there or not. You go away on vacation, you come back, it's bigger and better. You go off and play golf, you come back, it's bigger and better. You know, when you go and build another business, the first business is still there and it's bigger and better. You got to build a business that works so you don't have to. A commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. And that's where business becomes an investment. Business is, by the way, in my opinion, the ultimate investment that there can be out there on the planet. When you build a great business, and that's why, let's be blunt about this. The reason venture capital companies, the reason these big money investors buy businesses is that's where the most money is. There's no two ways about it that there's more return on investment in business than there is on pretty much any other thing on the planet. And I know right now people say, what about Bitcoin and what about NFTs and all that sort of stuff? Got it. But they're still a business, funnily enough. You know, and you sit back and you start looking at building businesses. And one of the great things that you have in Aruba is some great business people. But I need to see them investing in more businesses. And that's where once you become a business owner, once you've built that business so that it works and you don't have to, now it's time for you to step up and start buying other businesses, start buying and turning around other companies. Take your management skills, take your leadership skills, take your marketing and sales and team building skills, take all of that stuff you know about business and go and buy that business down the road that's not run that well. Go and buy that business over there. Come up to the United States, find a great business idea, bring it to Aruba. Go to, there's so many great ideas in Aruba that are nowhere else, and vice versa. There's so many ideas in the UK that are not in Aruba. There's so many things that are done in the hospitality business that you could change and dramatically look and find all this stuff. But that's what a great business owner does. They become an investor. They start building other companies. They start buying maybe their competitors. They start buying into other businesses. They go vertical. They go horizontal. And they start building and becoming an investor. They look at businesses and say, oh, this is phenomenal. Ultimately, every business is the best employer there is. And that's why I congratulate the government on creating this great group. And what's the Aruba Investment Agency, ARENA. This is going to be a phenomenal ability to help investors come into Aruba and actually invest in things that Aruba needs, wants, and will make a good return on investment. Now, as an investor in many, many different things, for me, I invest in all different categories, from business to real estate to the stock market. They're all investments. But ultimately, when we sit back and we take a look, is the investment environment one that we want to be a part of? And I think that the government in Aruba is doing a phenomenal job at creating an environment for investors like me, like you, to come in and build great wealth and build great things for both yourself, Aruba, and the people of Aruba. And that's pretty cool if you ask me. I'm very happy to be a part of this summit. As someone who's been doing business in Aruba for many years now, I think that there is so much opportunity to come out of this whole thing and build such a phenomenal, phenomenal opportunity for you, me, and every other investor out there. Now, as an investor, what we're doing is we're taking our own money and we're investing our own capital to go and build other things. We're taking our capital and buying in. I want to take you to the next level above that, though, and that's the level of entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who creates investments for others to buy into. It could be the property developer in real estate. It can be the person who builds a company and franchises it in business. In the stock market, it would be the person who takes a company to a public offering and puts it on the stock exchange. Either way, what we're looking at is that person who's now creating opportunities for others. And I think that we need a mixture of both in Aruba right now. We need the investors and we need the entrepreneurs. We need the people who are buying and investing and putting capital to work in Aruba, but we also need the people who are creating the opportunities for those with the capital who don't have the time to be able to put that capital to work in Aruba. Ultimately, when we look at all of this, we're building strong businesses. And what do strong businesses do? Strong businesses do three things. And I want to be very clear on this first one. The more. And that is that as one business starts booming, they create more employees that now have more money to invest with every other business. When businesses boom, all businesses boom. When an economy booms, all people in the economy booms. And that's why I love the fact that Dave and my team at ActionCOACH are willing to help any business in Aruba. We're willing to help you grow. In fact, I'd be willing to donate my free online training to every single business owner in Aruba if you guys want to do that. Because I see that when we educate business owners, they grow, they employ more people. The more people they employ, the more customers for everybody else, and hey presto, the whole thing. Second thing, obviously, profitable businesses means more money to invest back in the economy. When businesses are making good money, they invest that money back in, both in higher wages for the people in the economy, but also in educating people, also in building more businesses, in bringing more opportunities to the country. And the third thing happens, of course, is that there's more tax revenue generated, which allows the government to do more things. And hey, presto, it's a great cycle. It's one of those wonderful things. But it all starts with investment. It all starts with building a great set of businesses that do that. Now, how do we build great businesses? Well, I want to take you through. When we studied, because with ActionCOACH, and this is, like, I've written 17 books, so this is the latest one, Pulling Profits Out of a Hat. Now, the reason I bring that up is what we studied is what creates exponential business. And I want to take a few business people in Aruba to task all of a sudden. Some of you have businesses that should be international, that should be global. Not just in the Caribbean, not just in the Latin American market or South American market, but you should be global. And you're not. You're a great entrepreneur and you should be global. And I think that that challenge needs to be put to more people, because when you do that international business and the money flows back to Aruba, that's a phenomenal opportunity for everybody. But that foreign building of businesses, you could have a business that's franchisable globally. You have a business that can license itself worldwide. You have systems and methodologies that could go global, and you're not. Now let me take you through what it takes to have an exponential growth business. There's 5 core disciplines that we've found to building an exponential growth business. And again, it took over 2 years, and it's 297 pages, 2.2 pounds of book to explain all this in detail, but I'm going to try and give you the 10-minute version of it and understand these 5 key disciplines. Now, I use the term discipline because of the fact that you never get it right. You know, you've always got to be disciplined to keep updating, innovating, and growing in any business that you're in, and making sure that that business is performing at its peak level. I know for me, in running 9 companies pre-pandemic and now 11 companies, we started 2 during the pandemic to take advantage of some of the opportunities out there in the marketplace. To understand all of that and to grow all of that, we have to use these 5 core disciplines. Discipline number 1 is that of strategy. Now, this virtual viral world we live in has made a lot of businesses examine their strategy, because their strategy that worked before doesn't work anymore. Strategy is made up of 4 main components. The first 2 come into the business model, and the second 2 come into the product or service. So let's discuss each of those. The first 2, number 1 is that called leverage. Now, leverage by definition is more with less. You create more results with less input, okay? Now, to give that a further definition, you can use the mathematical formula, divide to multiply. And if you've never seen my 5 ways to multiply the profits for a business, jump on my YouTube channel, Brad Sugar's 5 ways to grow your profits on YouTube. You'll see it. It'll teach you that formula. It'll blow your mind how fast we can grow the profitability of a business. Anyway, back to the subject of leverage. My definition of leverage is fairly simple. It's do the work once, get paid forever. How do you build a business that works forever? How do you get a customer that stays forever? How do you get repeat business? All of that stuff. And if I can give you a simple example of that, what's one that everyone can relate to? Oh, let's use Apple as an example. Apple Computers, originally Steve Jobs founded a computer manufacturing company. Make a computer once, sell it once, no leverage. If you do it once, if you get a customer once who buys once and never comes back, there's no leverage in that. You got to do something where you get a customer once who stays with you forever and ever and ever, amen. That's the way to make real money. So Steve Jobs, let's compare the 2 actually. I mentioned Bill Gates. Steve Jobs builds a company that's a computer manufacturer. Make it once, sell it once, no leverage in that, okay? Now, at the other end of Silicon Valley, you got Bill Gates. Make a piece of software once, sell it 1,000,000 times, sell it 1,000,000,000 times. Now, they don't even sell you the software. Microsoft leases it to you. It's software as a service. You buy the software, and you got to pay for it every month or every year or whatever it might be. Steve Jobs got fired from Apple. Bill Gates goes on to become the richest person in the world. Okay. Now, Steve Jobs went off and learned leverage. What did he make? He made movies. A little company called Pixar, sold it to Disney for billions. What did he learn? Make a movie once and sell it over and over and over again. Came back to Apple, went to turn around Apple when it was failing. It was his company. He wanted to turn his baby around. Came back and he said, listen, let's change our business model. Put him into the music business. Now, Steve Jobs is actually smarter than me. He didn't make the music once and sell it 1,000,000 times. He never even made the music. People like he invented the iPod. No, he didn't. Sony invented the MP3 player. This is phenomenal stuff when you think about leverage. Steve Jobs make the movie never, make the music never, make the TV show never, but sell it over and over and over again and make millions. That's a fortune. Turned Apple into the largest capital value company in the world for a period of time there. So we sit back and we start thinking about leverage. You know, it's the difference between owners' work and employees' work. You know, owners work, do the work once, get paid forever. Employees work, do the work once, get paid once. If you're an owner doing employees' work, don't complain about your income. You know, then we look at our product or service. Get a customer once and keep them forever. Get a customer once and have them buy from you over and over and over again. That, my friends, is leverage, and it's core number 1 of the strategy principle. Number 2 is that of synergy. And synergy, by definition, is the growth rate of the business. That means that, well, very simply put, my definition is the next sale costs less and is easier. If it gets harder as you get bigger, then you don't have an ability to have synergy. You don't have the ability to have that level of growth that comes when we sit back and we start looking at it and saying, okay, my business has to be scalable. My scalability level is determined by my speed of growth. And if I am capped out in my growth, then I got to sit back and say, how do I scale this up? How do I do that sort of thing? If you're running a great business in Aruba, what would the size of it be if you opened it in India? You know, there's so many things that we need to be thinking about here for that. The third and fourth area of strategy is that of marketability. Does the product or service sell itself, or do I actually have to go to work to sell it? And fourth, that of opportunity size. How big is the market that I'm dealing in? How big is it? Is it trillions? Is it billions? Is it millions? What size is the market that I'm going to be in? Those four areas of strategy are things that we sit down and we look at and say, are these the things you're working on in your business, or are you working on those tiny, minute things? Think the big stuff first so that the little stuff takes care of itself. The second is that of people, and this is something that really has to happen a lot if we're going to be great investors and great entrepreneurs and great business people. You don't build the business, your people do. We got to invest in our people. We got to train our people. We got to upskill our people. We got to make sure our people are doing a phenomenal job. And that's why, when I sit down with any government, I ask them, can we train the kids in your schools to become entrepreneurs? Can we teach them that? My foundation, I'll offer my foundation to every kid in Aruba. I'll put them through my training of how to be an entrepreneur, how to come out of school and be an employer, not an employee. Every single time I look at it, we've got to educate our people. If your salespeople aren't performing, it's because you haven't trained them well enough. If your managers are not doing a good job at managing, no one can outperform their training. We wouldn't expect a sporting person to outperform their training. Why do we expect that in business? If you build your people, they build your business. Third discipline I want to focus you in on today is that of mission. In days gone by, business could be just about making money. In days gone by, business could be about nothing more than just, make the dollars flow and hey presto, everything else will take care of itself. Not anymore. Not anymore. Business today has to be on mission. Business today has to be about something greater than just building profitability. Business has to give back. Business has to take care of its people. Business has to take care of its community. If your customers don't love buying from you, not like buying from you, not feel good about buying from you, if they don't love buying from you in this day and age, there's someone else that'll take them as a customer. You got to build relationships with them. You got to build experiences with them. In other words, let's put it a real blunt way. If your customers aren't posting about you on Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media they're on, if they're not posting about the experience they had with you and saying it's such a wonderful experience, then you're not doing a good enough job. In this day and age, customer ratings, customer rankings, customer testimonials, video testimonials are some of the most important things there are. And you got to put that time and energy into making sure your customers love doing business with you. But then the flip side of that is you've also got to make it so that your people love coming to work. People got to love coming to work today. It's too easy in the world today to just build your own home-based business. If you want someone to come and work for you, you got to build it so that they really enjoy what they do. They got to enjoy their work. They got to come to work thinking, I love the mission that we are on. I know for me, and Dave's a great example of this, and I want to congratulate him. He's on a mission to not just help, and him enlisting me to come and be with you here today is all about the fact that he's on a mission to help Aruba, to help the business people of Aruba, create abundance of wealth in Aruba by helping every business owner and every business person grow and employ more people and create more value for themselves and for the marketplace. The mission is important today. In fact, the millennial generation don't just want a mission, they demand a mission. The answer to the question, why are we doing this, is more important today than it's ever been before. In fact, some people won't even do stuff unless they understand why are we doing it. 20, 30 years ago, you might have got away with just telling someone to do something without explaining why we do it that way or why we are that. See, for me at ActionCOACH, our vision of world abundance through business re-education, our mission statement, our culture, our 14 points of culture, in other words, who we are and why we do what we do is more important than what we actually do. Think about that in your business for a little bit. On top of that, we then got to go to execution. Execution is really about three main things. That is your planning. How well are you doing the planning in the business? your systemization of the business, and your communication. Those three things are very, when you wrap all of that up together, it becomes down to the management, really, of the business. And people, I don't know why, but somewhere in the 90s, people said management's a bad word. You don't want to be a manager, you want to be a leader. No, 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 no. A manager's job is two things: to build productivity and competency in the people. You want management. You want people who build productivity, and you want people who build competency. If there's a lack of competency, it means there's a lack of management, or there's bad management. If there's a lack of productivity, lack of management, or bad management. You can't just be a leader. Leaders are great with people, and leadership, by the way, is two jobs as well. If management is productivity and competency, leadership is basically about two things, and that is passionate, focused people. If you don't have passionate people, there's a lack of leadership or bad leadership. You don't have focused people, lack of leadership or bad leadership in that organization. So we want management and we want leadership. Leadership does great at building our people. Management does great at managing our execution, the plan, making sure the systems are in place, making sure there's high levels of communication so that we know who's doing what by when. All that sort of thing is part of it. And then finally, we look from execution to business development. Now, business development is, again, three main things: your marketing, your sales, and your customer service. So if we sit back and we look at the marketing of anything, the marketing is generally the lifeblood of any business. And any business that is not investing money in buying new customers, and I will state that word again, buying new customers. See, what is marketing? Marketing is the buying of lifetime customers. You have to invest money to buy customers. You can't just expect customers to show up without investing to buy them. Whether you buy them by putting out social media posts and having a person who manages your social media, whether you buy them by putting advertisements on TV, however you're buying your customers, you need to buy more customers if you do that. And learn that 5 ways formula on my YouTube channel. Your sales is all about that conversion rate. What are we doing to convert a prospect into an actual customer? And what are we doing to convert an actual customer into a repeat customer? And again, we've got to build that sales system. Make sure that it is systematized so that your salespeople can do a great job. You can hire a new salesperson and they do a great job. And then finally, your customer service, the thing that ensures the repeat business. Marketing and sales can work to get repeat business, but the customer service is what ensures it. It's what locks it in. And that customer service is what builds that amazing level of raving fan. It builds repeat business and it builds referrals. We need a lot more referrals in Aruba right now. We need a lot more people talking about it. We need a lot more people posting on social media. We need a lot more people. We need every single person in Aruba to become a marketer for Aruba. Every single person that lives here, every person that works here needs to start marketing Aruba to the world. Every one of us needs to work together to make Aruba what it can be and what it should be. Every single one of us needs to be out there on social media. I keep seeing TikToks of what it's like to be in different parts of the world. I'm not seeing too many from Aruba right now. I need to see more of Aruba. I need every member of the country, every person to become a raving fan of Aruba. That's what customer service is about for your business, but it's also what customer service is about for your country. Think of it as a country that is marketing itself. There's so many things we can be doing. There's so many things because there's so much opportunity. Aruba is a hidden gem, I got to tell you. You know, one time someone said to me as a marketer, they said to me, you know what, Brad, ActionCOACH is literally the best kept secret in the world. I looked at him and I said, you know what, it's probably time I fired my marketing manager. Aruba, you're a hidden gem. Stop being hidden. Stop it. Start going and shouting out to the world how amazing you are and show the world what a great place you are to visit. Because I've been there. I know it. You live there. You know it. If you're looking to invest in Aruba, come visit. Take a look. See for yourself at the people in this country and why they're worth investing in. This is a great place to be. To the team that put this together, thank you so much. The future of this, there's so much to be done and so much opportunity. I'm Brad Sugars, Chairman and CEO here at ActionCOACH. I'm willing to help any way I can. Make sure you keep investing. Make sure you keep growing. Let's build a great nation over and over again. Thanks.
Wow, what a nice way to start this morning. Inspiring speech by Mr. Brad Sugars, and I would like to thank him so much for taking the time and really delivering a very nice speech for us during the summit today. Right now, we're going to move on to a very short break of 5 minutes, so quickly grab your cup of coffee and we will see you in 5 minutes.
all participants, all international investors and local investors, and our entrepreneurs. My name is Sharon Meyer. I'm policy advisor and foreign economic relation at the Department of Economic Affairs, Commerce and Industry, and I'm a business advisor in the unit of Expert Desk. The Department of Economic Affairs, Commerce and Industry, DECI, through its unit's expert desk, and on behalf of the Minister of Finance, Economic Affairs and Culture, Her Excellency Xiomara Maduro, are organizing the Export Week 2021, Conquering New Horizons. During this Export Week, there is the possibility to go more in depth into topics like e-commerce, latest trends, online payments, logistics, for instance, with the US, Europe, Asia, and the Dominican Republic. Also on topics like blockchain, the future of digital payments like cryptocurrencies. The virtual event will take place on the AirMeet platform. Export Week 2021 Conquering New Horizons will take place from June 7th to June 11th, 2021. On Monday to Thursday, it will be from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, and on Friday, it will be from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Participation is free. You will receive an AirMeet link after registering to the event. I will elaborate on the daily program to provide an overview of the Export Week. On the first day, which is Monday, June 7th, from 9 till 12 noon, we will start with the Minister of Finance, Economic Affairs and Culture, Her Excellency Xiomara Maduro, who will open the Export Week with a welcome session. Then we will have the representatives of H-Port and the shipping line Don Andres to discuss connection, shipment possibility between Aruba and the Dominican Republic. We will proceed with Mr. Jorge Zaraga, who is a business and marketeer advisor and owner of 3 local companies, including JC Marketing and Communication. Mr. Zaraga has a career of more than 15 years of experience in helping companies communicate effectively with their target audience. Mr. Zaraga will elaborate on getting ready to conquer new horizons with a powerful e-commerce website. We will close the first day of the Export Week 2021 Conquering New Horizon with 2 representatives of Custom Aruba, Mrs. Sharina van der Biesen Hernandez and Mrs. Angeli Leerdam Nuboer. They will discuss the REC system, which is a system of certification of origin of goods based on a principle of self-certification. The origin of goods is declared by economic operators themselves by means so-called statements on origin. These Aruban goods of origin have the possibility to enter the European Union with preferential treatment. Furthermore, they will elaborate on import duties, exemptions, opportunities for local manufacturers. They will also discuss the Caribbean Basin Initiative, CBI, where goods originating in Aruba receive a preferential tariff arrangement when imported into the U.S., and they will close the day with the cooperation arrangement between Aruba and Curaçao, where goods originating in Aruba can also receive a preferential arrangement. We will start the second day of the Export Week, which is June 8th from 9 till 12 noon, with Mr. Manuel Pila, who is the economic developer of the city of Doral, Florida. Mr. Pila is a seasoned economic development and communication professional with 30 years of experience in the public and private sector. Mr. Pila served as the Director of Marketing and Public Relations for the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce and the Miami Beach Visitor Center. He served also as the Marketing and Communication Director and Program Manager for the Hollywood, Florida Community Redevelopment Agency. Mr. Pila will discuss doing business opportunities with the U.S. through the city of Doral, as Aruba and Doral has a sister city agreement. So, if you're interested and have questions regarding doing business with the U.S. or Doral, register for the second day, as we will also have Mr. Jose Joaquin Machado, CEO of Noxtec, which is a very successful Aruban business that is currently established in Doral. We will close the second day with Ms. Michelle Lo Chiu Tong, who is the Managing Director and co-founder of Inveni Business and Technology from Trinidad and Tobago, with external operations in China. Inveni is the Caribbean leading China sourcing solutions company. Mr. Lo Chiu Tong will talk about sourcing from Asia. tips and best practices for finding suppliers. It is important to note that Inveni works with third-party quality agency that guarantees quality according to international standards. Besides the presentation of Ms. Lo Chiu-tung, there will be an opportunity for all local businesses that would like to form a strategic alliance or partner up with Inveni to register for the second day. We will open the third day of the Export Week, which is June 9, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, with the international export coach Ms. Tayana Muraramis of Next Consulting, who has 30 years of experience in export development and export promotion of both goods and services. Ms. Mora is currently coaching the group of empowered women exporters. We will have the professional women of Empowered Women Exporter that consist of Ms. Suzy Maduro from Suzy Maduro Consultancy, Mrs. Virginia Rasmain from Mustang Matters, Ms. Vanessa Hollander from Press Play, Ms. Sharina Gums from Soul to Soul Mindful Art, Ms. Osit Henriquez from Aruba Ocean Villas, and Ms. Valeria Gomez from Vadavas. These professional women will elaborate on tips how to grow your business locally and thrive internationally. They will share their experience and best practices when exporting. In this group, we will have also Mr. Dave Martinez, who is a certified business coach and action coach. Mr. Martinez will also give practical tips for growing your business in order to export successfully. We will close the third day with two Aruban coaches who are currently coaching two projects of Esprodesk, being Arts Without Borders and Tech Without Borders. The first Aruban coach is Mrs. Laihin de Courtier, who is the founder of her own strategic management consultancy firm, known as Cornerstone Economies. Before she started her own entrepreneurial journey, Laihin worked at an investment bank as well as at Aruba Tourism Authority and has ample experience in investments and tourism as an expert. Second export coach is Mr. Frits Israel, who is the director of DOC Opleidingen, an adult education institute that provides a wide variety of courses and workshops from more than 20 years to the local community. Both coaches will elaborate on topics like from local to export, what to do if you want to cross borders with my company, operational status, can we take on increase in business, time, structure, operation, production, and much more. And of course, they are available to answer any question you might have. We will start the fourth day of the Export Week, which is June 10th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon with Mr. Bruce Harms, who is a content creator and multimedia engineer and owner of Deviant Concepts, who provides online solutions for over 10 years and has recently become a blockchain advocate and member of the Caribbean Blockchain Alliance. Mr. Harms will elaborate on marketing tools for turning traffic into sales, as well as blockchain trends and opportunities. We will then close the fourth day with Mr. David Levy Maduro, who is CXPay Director and in charge of the day-to-day operation as Chief Operating Officer. Mr. Levi Maduro has over 23 years of experience in the e-commerce and web development world and 14 years in sales and marketing. Mr. Levi Maduro will elaborate on, do you want to get paid? If so, would you like to get paid the next business day? Many try to find shortcuts and ways to get paid, while this presentation will show a proven procedure where receiving payments for your digital or physical products and or services can indeed be paid and received locally within one business day. We will end the Export Week on the fifth day, which is Friday, June 11th from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. On Friday, it will be instead of 12 noon, 12:30 p.m. We will start Friday with our first speaker, Mr. Geneviève Leville, who is the principal founder and CEO of AgriLedger. Mrs. Leville will discuss AgriLedger, blockchain possibilities for the agriculture sector, as AgriLedger provides a fair share, fairer prices for those who produce, and this means for all of us to know where our food comes from, so improved food security. Following, we will have Mr. Hallam Hope, who is from Barbados and is an expert on policy analysis in the blockchain space and teaches groups and individuals how to invest and trade successfully in cryptocurrencies. Mr. Hope will elaborate on creating a blockchain-friendly Aruba. Next, we will have Mr. Paul Helmich. Mr. Helmich worked as a manager for large consulting firms such as Accenture and KPMG before starting his own consulting company in 2014. In his spare time, he is active for his Rotary Club, fulfills several board positions, and is a member of the Caribbean Blockchain Alliance. His certifications include being a CISSP, a CISM, and a certified Bitcoin professional. Mr. Helmich will present blockchain opportunities, but what makes it really interesting are the possibilities that Mr. Helmich will discuss regarding Aruba's promising sectors. We will close the Expert Week with Mr. Roshine Panjarajan, who leads the growth of air meat for Europe and Latin American region. Mr. Panjarajan will elaborate on possibilities to enable business, association, and communities across Europe, Latin America, and of course now the Caribbean, to engage and connect digitally with the audience through air meats. As you all can see, it will be a jam-packed week with valuable information from 25 local and international speakers. So register using the link on the screen or scan the QR code. Hope to see you all there.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for the teaser and introduction to what will be a very nice expert week next week. I'm sure I'm going to sign up as well. Next up, we have a speaker joining us today thanks to the Expo desk, Mr. Remko van der Veldt. After Mr. Remko's presentation, we will be hosting a Q&A session with him. So I'd like to invite you to drop your questions in the Q&A section of the chat box. Mr. Remko van der Veldt is the Managing Director of Royal Aruba Aloe since January 2017. Before taking his current role, Remko worked in the telecom industry for almost 20 years in various senior positions, such as sales, commercial, and general management positions with large telecom companies in the Netherlands and across various markets in the Caribbean and Latin America, for example, Vodafone, France Telecom, and most recently with Digicel. He has a successful track record, working as a challenger in highly competitive markets and delivering growth and market share results. He gets inspiration and motivation from transforming businesses and rolling out new operations, always with a customer-centric approach and high level of staff engagement. We are very happy to have Mr. Remko van der Veldt with us today. Please welcome Remko van der Veldt.
Bon dia toehende. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon in Europe. Thank you for joining the keynote address from Royal Aruba Aloe today. Special thanks to the Department of Economic Affairs, Commerce and Industry, in specific Minister Maduro for the invitation. I'd like to take you through our international pillars for the growth that we are achieving. Before I do that, I would like to introduce the company for those who are not familiar with Aruba Aloe. But I think it's very important to the objective of today. What I'm trying to do today is to convince people, investors, as well as entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs, to invest in Aruba. And that Aruba Aloe convince you that making an investment or starting up a business in Aruba can be very interesting and can be very profitable, especially with an international ambition. So that is what we're going to do today. I'll take you to 4 pillars that for us as Aruba Aloe have been very, very important. But before doing so, let me take you to our company by showing a short video of 30 seconds. Can this work? Unfortunately, the video is not working today, but if you go to our website, you can see the video as well. Basically, what this video is showing is aloe has an historic importance to Aruba. It's the DNA of the island. It's the DNA of Aruba Aloe as well. Around 1840, the first aloe plants came to Aruba from Africa, from the Netherlands. And with that arrival of those plants, large fields of aloe plants were established. And to maintain those fields, a strong increase of population arrived on the island to work on those aloe fields. In the same period of time, Aruba actually became the center point of the world as global leader in aloe hardgum training. Apologies. So with that economic boost, it actually gave the island a real boost in its growth in population and the economy, as mentioned. And for that reason as well, the aloe plant is one of the 4 elements in the coat of arms of Aruba. If you look to our company specific, we're existing 131 years, largely run as a family company by the Eman family till 2000. And since 2000, with the arrival of Louis Posner, one of the 2 owners of the company, the international ambition and the international growth was put in motion, resulting in the last 4 years with 2 big expansions that we did, and we actually have another one ahead of us. This was a very proud moment early in the year. This year we have been granted by His Majesty King Willem-Alexander of the Dutch Kingdom to be royal. We may call ourselves royal now. It makes it very special, not only for us as a company, but also from the island of Aruba, being the first royal company in the Caribbean part of the Dutch Caribbean. A small facts about the company itself. As mentioned, we established in 1890. The full operation of our company is here based in Aruba. From the plantation to R&D to sales and marketing to production itself, everything happens here on Aruba. We're certified ISO 13485, it's the medical class device number 1, as well as the good manufacturing practices for cosmetics, which I will address later on as well. We have 120 employees. We kept all the 120 employees employed during the COVID pandemic over the last year. And actually in the next few months, we expect that to grow to 130 to 140 as well. So the business is in recovery, which is a good sign. We know aloe vera inside out. That's basically the knowledge that we have, and that's where our tagline, "We Are Aloe," comes from. We harvest, develop, manufacture and distribute aloe vera based personal care products on our own brand as well as for third parties. How do we do that? We have 10,000 square meters of factory and warehouse here in Aruba. We are about to double that in the next year, 2 years. We do over 5 million units production on an annual basis. This year we're going to add a few million to that as well. Locally, we got 16 retail stores, of which 15 we own ourselves and we operate ourselves, and we do a lot of business with local companies. And we distribute the products to more than 55 countries worldwide. We have shelf space in 15,000 stores in the United States, which is still growing, and we have 2 own distribution hubs, one in Indianapolis in the United States, as well as one in the Netherlands, from where we run our online stores, ArubaAloe.com, which is covering the North American market, and ArubaAloe.nl and EU, which we cover the European market. The proof that an Aruban company from a small island can become a global operating company, that's the ambition that we have. That's what we share with our employees, and that's what we want to prove. Our shareholder, Louis Posner, when he took over, he actually translated that in the following vision. We want Aruba Aloe to become to Aruba what Coca-Cola is for the United States and what Heineken is for the Netherlands. That proudness is very important for us as an Aruban company. At the same time, there is also a need for business resiliency on this one. Because if something happens on Aruba, and you have seen that over the last months, over the last year during the COVID pandemic, you have to have an alternative to keep in business. And during that pandemic, the export business that we have built up over the last few years actually gave us the opportunity to keep operating as we were doing operating. So what is driving our international growth? And then I'm going to the purpose of today. We have 4 key elements that I like to address. International market starts here, and I will go into deep on that one. We have competitive pricing for export by manufacturing here on Aruba, and I will address the elements for that part. Adaptation and reliability as a company dealing with international companies, big retailers, is very important, and I will go into detail that as well. And be ready. That sounds the easiest thing of all, but it is so complicated to be ready of that international expansion. Our international market starts here. Aruba has 100,000 people living, over 100,000 people living here on the island. A great number to run a business, and during COVID, we really appreciated the business that we got from our local community to remain in business. But at the same time, there is over 2 million or 2 million people visiting our island on a yearly basis. Those are the numbers from 2019. Those numbers give you extreme big business opportunities. And that's, over 800,000 cruise passengers, almost 1.2 million stay-over tourists. Those are people coming here in a happy modus. They have money to spend. That's where the business opportunities start. 80% coming from North America. So that gives you a lot of insights as well. So what do we do with those 2 million people? Lock your customer. What we're really trying to do, expose our brand, make sure we get in contact with those customers. It sounds very easy, but it's the very simple trick that we're trying to do. Get the products in their hands, let them try it and let them buy it. And most important, get connected to them. The connection is extremely important. Why? You build up the relationship. And if you have a proper relationship, they're easier to get their email address. And that's where the big trick starts. Collection of email addresses over the last 5 to 10 years give us over 100,000 of email addresses in our database. That's a gold mine. You hear it every day. Email addresses, you have to collect them. It is true. We have a multi-million-dollar business now in the US because of that. We're leveraging on the database that we have generated over the last years. It starts very small in a 200 square meter warehouse. Now we got the 60,000 square feet warehouse in Indianapolis. It's step by step building up your business, but it starts here on Aruba and make it happen. So that experience, that interaction on the digital marketing strategy is something we apply aggressively, and actually it is driving the international growth, especially in the United States at the moment. At the same time, and I think that is very underestimated, with 2 million tourists on the island, and not all of those 2 million are coming to our Aruba Aloe stores, unfortunately, but those that are coming give you a lot of insights on what they're looking for. Get their feedback. Those are people that are living in the United States. They're from different states. They can tell you a lot for normally paying expensive customer surveys when you want to enter a new market. Those customers are already here. Listen to them. Talk to them. Again, the connection is very important. And we get a lot of products developed based on that feedback. Change the packaging, change the size of the packaging. It's listening to those customers that automatically prepares us to be ready for their international market. At the same time, data analysis. And I like to stress, we don't have huge platforms or softwares to drive that. It's a simple data analysis on profiling. And I know profiling might be a little dirty word, but profiling is very important. We know from the type of cruise ship what kind of customers we get into our stores. So we train our staff to say, if you have a high-end cruise ship coming in, let's start pitching high-priced products, premium products. If there is a mid-tier or lower cruise ship, profile ship arriving on the harbor, do not start with the premium, start with the lower priced products and start cross and upselling. Those are very simple things you can apply and brings you a lot of data analysis that are very useful for your business. Again, over 2 million people coming to the island of Aruba, the one happy island, make use of it. Why do we manufacture here in Aruba, and why do we continue to invest in manufacturing here in Aruba? 3 core reasons for that. The beneficial tax regulation, lower labor cost, and shipping cost. If you look to the tax regulation, as an industrial manufacturing company, we do not pay any taxes on machinery, raw materials, and packaging. That is very beneficial, and especially if you compare that, for example, these days with the United States. They import a lot from China. There's a lot of increase of import taxes from products coming from China. We don't pay 0 import taxes on our products. But going to the second point, there is no import tax from products made in Aruba if you import that in the United States, based on the Caribbean Basin Economic Recovery Act of 1983, which was updated in 1990. That's a very beneficial position for us as a manufacturing company. Also for the EU, the EU has granted tariffs, preference tariffs for developing countries. So as well, manufacturing here gives us low import taxes in the European Union. The other part is we have relative lower labor costs if you compare that to the US and Western Europe. So manufacturing on high intense labor activities is beneficial here. If you automate everything, of course, that benefit will disappear. But we use still a lot of people in our factory, and that brings economic of scale, as well as the people on their labor cost will benefit from that in the total cost price. At the same time, these days around the world, container prices are sky high. Even 3-4 times more than it was a year or 2 years ago. And it's very painful to experience that. But shipping from Aruba to the EU, and especially the Netherlands or the United States, it's actually a benefit. Because Aruba is importing all those products for those 2 million customers and their own population, there's a lot of empty containers that are going back to those markets. We make use of that by exporting. So the container prices are relatively low compared to any other container prices that you find worldwide. That is helping us to keep the cost price low and be able to have a very competitive pricing into the markets of the United States as well as Europe. Adaptation, apologies for the typo, and the reliability. Those are 2 very important elements for us to maintain. Markets are different, it requires innovation, and the speed to market and consistency are absolutely key to maintain a good relationship, especially with larger retailers. If you look to the adaptation, if you are successful here, the easiest thing to do is, we're successful here, so let's pick it up and sell it somewhere else and it should work because we're very successful here. That's not going to work. We tried and failed several times by just picking up a product and we're just selling it. That's not how it works. Markets are different. In our opinion, the best way to do that is keep control over the whole distribution chain, the vertical distribution chain. Of course, it will give you control on the higher margins, but it also gives you a lot closer insights on what's happening in the market. If you're working with a distributor, fantastic, but he sells another 50 products. If you do it yourself or you are active in that market yourself, you derive the product, you drive the focus, and you're on top of that. Of course, we are making use of partners when it is needed to get inroads or take opportunities. In a few big retailers where we are now on the shelf in the United States, we use brokers. But when we left the brokers out after a year or 2 years, the issue of getting more products on the shelf was gone. Now we have a direct relationship with the big retailers, and suddenly our holiday sales of this year is 4 times higher than it was last year. Why? Because we ourselves were sitting at the table. It takes time, it takes patience, but when you're yourself at the table, it definitely gives you opportunities to do great business. Virtual trade shows is a solution. Physical trade shows cost a lot of money, cost a lot of time. These days, there's a lot of virtual trade shows as well to pitch your products. Sometimes it's a kind of speed dating for 10, 50 minutes. For us, it's a great opportunity to expose our products to potential new clients and to new buyers. It's a great opportunity to open up new doors and get more shelf space. Definitely something that is easy to do here from Aruba, and you don't have to travel that much. As mentioned, innovation is part of adaptation. Customers have specific demands, and sometimes, you think, why is it needed? You have to show willingness to adapt on that. We have certain products that with small tweaks and twists, they're slightly different, but they open up big new retail channels for us because they're different than their competitor. That's what they're looking for. If we don't do it, they will go to somebody else. So if you feel comfortable and you're willing to adapt on that, great opportunities again to take market share and to build up a great business. But you have to be reliable. That's the main thing. Once you lose shelf space at a big retailer, you're out. It costs you penalties and you're out. That's a completely different ballgame that we experienced the hard way when we moved from only Aruba to international. If our products are out of stock or there's a product out of stock in our own stores, that's not a problem. We have over 350 products, so our sales team can be directed to focus on another product. If you're on the shelf with a big retailer, that's a different story. And once you're out of stock or you cannot deliver, you really have a big problem. So the quick turnaround time and the reliability on that is very, very important. Because we do everything ourselves, from harvesting, producing, distributing, and actually the sales, we have everything in control and able to be flexible and deliver a high speed of market. Of course, and I do like to stress that here as well, we can only do it with motivated and flexible staff to make that happen. And we're very appreciative and grateful for the staff that we have. The consistency is also very important, and that's where ISO kicks in. Especially the 22716, which is good manufacturing practices for cosmetics. That's the foundation of our operation. It's often requested to clear export certification, so it's important to have that as well. But it guarantees us that if we make one product or 1 million products, the quality is exactly the same of product 100,000 or 1 million. That's what the big retailers are expecting, and most of all, that is what our customers are expecting. So standardization of your operation is absolutely critical on that part. And that's what we do, and we deliver on the promise of that. Be ready. As mentioned already at the beginning, it sounds so easy, but we learned it really the hard way on this one. First of all, we have a dedicated compliance officer that is not only busy with the internal controls of the ISO, etc., but they're also monitoring new regulation in the world to anticipate on. It's very important to do so because if you don't, you're left with high inventory levels that cost you a lot of money that you cannot sell anymore. So that's a very important part. But most of it, if you look to the organization and the infrastructure, it's the ability to easily and quickly scale up while procedures remain untouched. That's a really critical part that we experienced that is important. In 2019, we got an opportunity to make 2 million jars with sugar cubes for a customer in the United States. We only had 3 months to work, and we delivered on time and with the quality. We would not be able to do that if we had those standard procedures in place, and we were able to quickly adapt on that as well. With the functional employees to make you flexible, that is very important, and we had the right software to support us with that as well. But this is really important if you want to scale up. Let not that affect your organizational structure, but try to build your organization in that way that you easily can adapt when sales is increasing. The last two that I want to address before I close off is the inventory and the cash planning. We learned the hard way here as well. Inventory is critical to be able to tap into opportunities. Those opportunities come not with a 9-month or 12-month projection. Sometimes they come in 2 or 3 months on that part. So we are building larger inventories to be able to react quickly on opportunities. That is costing some cash and working capital. But if you don't, you will miss out on those opportunities. The distribution hubs are very important for us as well, to have inventory at those locations to ensure that we're able to get quickly on the demand that is out there. Another very important one is the efficiency of the product development. Let's not create an extra bottle or an extra jar on a new product that comes out. Try to use materials that you already have that just need a different cap or a different label. It's efficiency that counts here, especially when the numbers are growing. Also in the type of products that you're making. Don't create new products that all need new ingredients. Try to find a base of ingredients that you can use for most of your products, and that way the majority of the inventory that you have you can use for the majority of your production. It's a very easy and efficient way to work with inventory, and it helps with your cash planning. And that also on the last part that I like to mentioning, a lot of good companies, a lot of good ideas go, south, if you want to say so, because they're lacking cash or the cash planning. It's very important that you have a solid partner in place, and we have one with your Aruba Bank as well. But international growth is required. For international growth, it is required to have cash. And investors are very important on that. Banking systems are very important with that. But that's the real part that allows you to keep growing. Not everything is the sunshine. It's the one happy island. But of course, we are experiencing challenges in our international growth as well. Aruba does not have trade agreements besides the USA and the EU. For good reasons, those are two very big markets. So, the international growth can be established in those markets. But not having trade agreements with Colombia, Latin America, as well as the Middle East, that is giving some challenges. But again, the markets in the US and Europe are big markets, so there's a lot of opportunities that we can still tap into. Supply chain, the shipping costs from Aruba to EU and the United States are very beneficial. But there are challenges in capacity, getting items here. There's only 1 week a ship coming to Aruba and leaving Aruba, so that requires a lot of planning. And if you miss one of the boats, there is delays in timelines there. So it's a challenge, and I hope we can fix that in the upcoming years. And at the end, we're operating on a Caribbean island that has its own rules and way of working as well. Not everything is as smooth as you might expect. I think mentioned several times, there is some red tapes, there is some delays in certain parts. It gives challenges. We found an efficient way to work around that. But keep that in mind as well. It's not as structured as maybe in any other market on that part. But if you deal with it and you have the right people and the right contacts, you can get a very long way. I'd like to say thank you for your time. I hope I have inspired people to do investments on Aruba. I can honestly say we're a true Aruban success story, passionate, committed Arubans, and we proved that an Aruban company can be a global operating company. And I hope we're not the only one in a couple of years' time, and that many will follow us in the same success journey that Aruba can offer. Masje danki, and thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Remko van der Veldt. That was a really nice presentation, and I'm sure all of us Arubans are very proud of the Royal Aruba Aloe company, as it is really one of the big companies in Aruba, not so much, although profiting from tourism, but still it's a different kind of company. So Remko is joining me now for a Q&A session. You can continue adding your questions in the Q&A section of the chat box, and I will start off. Mr. Remko, I saw, because this is an an investment summit, and we saw in one of your slides that you're a company 100% owned by Arubans. So my question is, are you open to FDI? And if you are, to what extent would you say the Royal Aruba Aloe company is open to that?
Look, I think as a company that we're growing, and every time we're looking for new projects. And especially in the internationalization of going to the US market and the European market. Before we ordered one pallet, and suddenly we order a container, and it went from a 20-foot container to a 40-foot container. I think the biggest challenge that we have as a company is when you're dealing with the big clients there, they have payment terms of 30, 60 days, where you buy those products 3, 6, 9 months before that. So there's a long bridge time that you need to do with your cash. And I think if so far we have been able to manage, but we do see stretches on that. Because once you hit a new retailer with 1,500 stores, that's a whole new level that you need to add on cash. And in that way, if investment comes combined with, opening new markets or new opportunities, we're absolutely open for investors to look at that if it benefits the company and supporting our ambition.
Okay, that's good to hear. And coming back to the part of the exports, because I know, for example, for a lot of small entrepreneurs, they find it actually very expensive to export from Aruba to the US or to the Netherlands. So I was surprised to hear that you guys find it very preferential. So my question would be, what advice would you have, or how did you guys manage to keep your costs low for these exports?
I think one of the elements here is that we ship containers, and we get a full container, and we ship every week a 20-foot or a 40-foot container to the United States. So we're not making use of small couriers, that send a single parcel to Europe, etc. Yes, we make use of FedEx. Yes, we make use of DHL and all the other companies. We even make use of airlines to ship parts. That is extremely expensive. And I think one of the elements that I mentioned as well, the challenges that we have is the supply chain. There is only once a week there is a ship coming in and out to the United States. So we are carrying extra inventory to have an extra buffer. That costs investment because you need to keep that higher stock. At the same time, if we need to deliver our products on a Wednesday and production is 1 day late, it's not 1 day late in shipping, you automatically have a delay of 7 days because you missed the boat of the following day. And I think that is one of the key challenges that we have as an island, not only as an exporter on the island, but I think as well with supermarkets and all the other investments. I believe if there is enough business activity and there is more investment on the island, like companies as ours, that there's absolutely opportunities to increase that or find other ways to do. Airlines these days, there's a lot of traveling with hand luggage. There is ergo, cargo, empty space. Why don't we try to fill it up with a lot more decent rates than we pay nowadays? And I think as an island and with investment around that, we can achieve that. That will help small entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah, I think the bulk does really help and for your company. And yeah. I hope to see some developments there too, because there are so many entrepreneurs here who don't produce this large amount, but they would like to tap into the global market, and especially starting in the US or in the Netherlands, which is easier for us. So I also really hope that something can be done for them. Mr. Remko, I was asking you about if there are any critical changes for the Royal Aruba Aloe that they have to go through to face the future effectively.
Yes, they are, which we're anticipating on. I think there's two key elements there. One is what you see today. There's a strong pressure on ingredients, on pricing on ingredients. Shipping costs are sky high after the pandemic. That's something that is, I think, a lot of industries are facing, and we as well. So we really need to anticipate that on our cost pricing with our clients. So I think that's a key one. The second part specifically for us, which I think brings another opportunity as well, is the trend in the personal care market for sustainable, natural products. And that goes very fast. It was always a niche area, where now you see that big retailers are actually demanding clean products on their shelves. So I think there will be a snowball effect in the next 2 to 3 years on sustainable parts, which we need to adapt on our end and make sure that our positioning remains a very strong positioning in the total market. But like I said, that brings up new opportunities with existing clients to fill in gaps that they might have that we can develop with our own R&D team. So I'm very looking forward to have that challenge on board and take some new opportunities and drive business even further.
Yeah, I was actually had one of these noted as about sustainability. So do you already have an idea of how you want to incorporate sustainability in the products of the Royal Aruba Aloe?
Yeah, I think we already do for some part. We do our own composting. The leaves that we're using, we recycle them, bring them to our own land. We use pure fresh aloe from our own farms. We do a lot of manual work on that as well to maintain. So I think those are key elements that we're doing. We do post-recycled plastic that we're using. The only thing, the world is developing, and post-recycled now might be accepted, but it might not be accepted in 2 years. So we're already talking to our suppliers in biodegradable packaging. What can you change with your products? Maybe, a shampoo bar, instead of having the plastic. So those kind of ideas are on the table. Our R&D team is working with it. We're working with our suppliers. So it's a very important process that we are in right now. But I do like to say there's a lot of opportunities in that field. And I don't think only in personal care. I think the whole sustainability movement is giving a lot of opportunities for new investments. And I think that's, the whole topic. I think there is a lot of investment opportunities, especially in Aruba for that as well.
Yeah, and I think the sustainability aspects, if you think about how the packaging usually looks like, I think it really matches, it complements the current branding already of Aruba Aloe, so I think that shouldn't be too hard to eventually execute. We also had a question that what advice would you have for companies that want to export from Aruba? So what the key challenges that they would face aside from mentioning that you export in bulk and there's like the 1 week that you have to plan.
Yeah.
What are there other advices that you would give?
I think make sure you are on the ball in the export market yourself. I think the fact that we had with being in the United States ourselves, with our own office, with our own distribution hub. Like I said, we started with a 200 square meter warehouse, a really small warehouse. But it made you sit on the market there. And if you have a partner, pick the right partner that has focus for your product. If we go to a distributor that has 20 other personal care products, it's great to take them into in their portfolio. I'm not convinced they actually give you the preferential treatment that you want them to give it to you. And then you're still from Aruba. It's a small island. And you really need to be proud of yourself. And the best messenger for that is yourself. So you have to go out yourself, make those contacts, and start small and accept starting small. But it will grow, absolutely.
Yeah. And here's a question. I think this is someone maybe from the UK. Does the Brexit impede Royal Aruba Aloe from having a trade agreement with the UK, or how would that work?
What I understood so far is that the requirements from the European have been taken over. So I think that's beneficial for us. But as an individual country and the UK, they can make their own regulation, as far as I know. Yeah. So that could definitely change, as there are big differences between the European Union and the UK, with the European Union and the United States. Their regulation is completely different. So yeah, at the time when the UK is going to change things, then we will adapt and we will be compliant. So far, I believe everything is still fine for us.
Okay. And there's a question here. I hope you understand what it is. Would you need foreign supply of pencas of aloe? Is that maybe something from the plant?
Okay. No, just to be clear, we do everything on Aruba. So we're not importing any aloe leaf or any gel or whatever. Okay. Everything comes from the plantation next to our factory. Yeah, so we're not importing anything on that.
Okay. Let me see what else we have here. So you already told us a little bit about how you expect your product line to change over the next 5 years. Do you also expect maybe expansion of your current product line, or is it more right now the sustainability trend that it's going to put pressure on how things have to change?
I think it's going to be a combination. And I might have not addressed it in full in the presentation, but if you look to our company, it's very important to develop yourself, to keep the business growing and make sure you tap into those market opportunities. One of the key things that the company did over the last 5 years, I would say 6 years, in 2015 they made a soap as a first soap. We always made lotion, shampoos, but never a product for the butt and body line, let's put it that way. And we made a simple soap because we wanted to explore that market, because there was a lot of requests for soaps and those kind of things. Nowadays, that business is almost a third of our total company in 6 years' time. Because Americans have a tradition of bathing, and you know, they like the bad salts and the bad powders and the bad bombs, and you know, all kinds of the scrubs, and you have a sugar scrub, you have an oil scrub, so you can quickly make a whole portfolio. And again, a sugar scrub, oil-based or soap-based, majority of the same kind of materials, just a little twitch and you have two different products. So from an investment perspective, it's not that big, but you can expand your portfolio. And I always use in my examples to people that I speak, or to students, that IBM was selling computers years ago, hardware. These days they're not selling any hardware, they're only selling software. And I think as a company you have to develop yourself. And so yes, we will go to the sustainability trend. That will definitely we'll have some adjustments in our portfolio. But like I said, that will bring new opportunities, and very likely there will be new lines created and there will lines disappear. So yeah, absolutely that it will evolve.
That's great to hear. Let me see if we have. So, here's another interesting question. Do you have ambitions to export to other countries within the European Union?
Yes, definitely. With the website, we already have quite some insights on where people are demanding our products, and we're definitely looking into that. And if there are people interested in that, they can always reach out. So there's definitely interest for that. We have a solid base now in the United States. We have our foundation set up in the Netherlands, and from there we like to explore other markets. But that can be worldwide, because our products go to Iraq, they go to South Korea, they go to Australia. So, you know, before you know, you pop up somewhere with a new distribution hub. So we're open for that. And it is important for us because Aruba has a business and a foundation that's very good. We have 2 million tourists, but that will not be 4 million. So if you want to expand the business and you want to be that global operating company, you have to explore new markets and opening new markets.
I think it's great to have this global mindset. I always try to tell people as well, like, you know, your market is much bigger than just being here, and it's great to have the Aruban product, but I mean, it's obviously sellable all over the world.
Absolutely, and what's what I explain to our, you know, people in the factory that work with it is the product that you're making is made in Aruba. And the product that you have in your left hand, that might go to South Korea. The next product that you make here in Aruba, made in Aruba, that right tube might go to Sweden. So it's that, you know, proudness that, you know, I think is for Aruba very, very important. We're a proud island, and I think that helps us getting everybody around that ambition to become a global operating company.
All right, and Mr. Remko, what is your experience with inter-island flight? So with I think within Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire.
To be honest, we're not doing a lot with that. So I really can't make a comment on that part. I know from experience we had some interest from other islands, which is a challenge on that part. But we've never really digged into that specific part. So I can't really make a comment other than own experience that it has challenges. Connections are challenges. I think we're better connected to the United States than any other islands here in the Caribbean. Okay. So I think that's definitely a challenge, but I can't make a further comment on that.
All right. And I think for our last question, how does your team products best follow compliance in Aruba, specifically the laws and regulations change in your market frequently?
I don't think they are changing frequently. Our regulation is strongly linked to the FDA. We're FDA approved or cleared. They don't give approvals, but we are cleared. We actually got an FDA inspection a couple of years ago. 10 days they announced we're there next week. Just make sure you open the doors, which we passed without problem. So changes are not there. The latest change that we had was the sunscreens with oxybenzone, that we're not allowed to have any oxybenzone in our sunscreens here in Aruba, which I think is a very good reason from environmental protection. We knew that was coming because you saw the market trends on that one. So when the announcement was made, I think it was in December 2018, if I'm not mistaken, that it would implement in 2020. 2 weeks before that announcement, we launched our mineral sunscreens. So those have been, we were ready because we saw that was coming. So a lot of changes not. If you look to the European market, that's a very stringent market with regulation. But even if you follow that properly, they make announcement of by August 2023, this ingredient is being forbidden. Or as of 2022, you're not allowed to ship new products with an ingredient. You're still able to sell it. But as of 2023, you're not allowed to sell it. So European markets is far more regulated than Aruba itself or even on the United States.
Yeah, and I can imagine if you want to be a great exporter, you have to watch all the markets where you want to enter to see what their regulation is, so you can keep up with that. So,
but if I may close on that, the United States is a very big market. So let's try to focus on one market to see if you can get there. And if you're making leverage there, you can have a great business to start up with. We're looking to other markets now because we believe we have a solid foundation in the United States. But let's first start with one market, you know, and the Americans are here, take that opportunity. 80% of the tourists are from the United States. That's a big market. So let's focus on that to if you want to have international ambitions, let's focus on that part. It's the easiest market to tap in.
Thank you so much, Mr. van der Veldt, and I hope our viewers were also inspired, and hopefully we also have some entrepreneurs watching who think, oh great, now I'm going to take the next step and see how I can start exporting my products. Now I would like to introduce to you our next speaker, Mr. Andrei Moarcas, who is joining us live from Brussels. After his presentation, there will also be opportunities to ask him questions, so please pose your questions in the Q&A section of the chat box. Andrei Moarcas is the OCTA Environment and Energy Advisor. OCTA stands for Overseas Countries and Territories Association of the European Union. Andrei specializes in EU law and policy with a focus on the areas of environment and energy. Over the past 6 months, he has been coordinating the drafting of a blue economy study covering the OCTA members, which aims to support the development of a sustainable blue economy. Prior to joining OCTA, he has worked as a legal advisor in Milieu Consulting, a Brussels-based consultancy specializing in EU affairs, and in the Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF. He holds 2 law degrees in English and in French law from the University of Leicester and the University of Strasbourg, as well as 2 master's degrees in international and European law from the University of Strasbourg and in European Political and Administrative Studies from the College of Europe in Bruges. Please welcome Mr. Moarcas.
Hello, and thank you for having me. It's truly a pleasure to be here, and especially after such good speakers. I hope I will manage to keep my presentation at least as interesting as the ones I've seen. I hope you can all hear me fine. I am quite far away in Brussels, and I will share my presentation. Let's hope everything works. Okay. Right. Thank you for having me, and I will be talking about the potential of the overseas countries and territories for sustainable blue growth. As said, I'm the Environment and Energy Advisor now, and my background is generally legal and policy, so I'm not in any way a technical person, but I hope that this will be interesting nonetheless. And this will focus on island economies in general and specifically on Aruba. This is what I will be going through. I will start with a short presentation about us, then I will talk about blue economy, what it is, what the study that we have been developing over the last few months is, and what the point of it is, what opportunities it identifies for Aruba specifically, and the future events that we are organizing in this context of blue economy and sustainable development. What is OCTA? We are the overseas countries and territories of the European Union Association. We are based in Brussels. And we represent, like we like to say, our members are from the tropics to the poles. We have Aruba, of course, as a member, and also members throughout the Caribbean, going up north to the Arctic lands, within the Pacific, and so on. Now we've only been registered as an NGO in Belgium in March 2003 by the OCTA governments, but I'm sure you know that the relationship between Aruba and the EU and all of the OCTs and the EU goes as far back as 1957, from the very beginning. Now, up to last year, there were 22 OCTs in our organization. Of course, all the inhabited ones, and the French Southern Arctic lands, which are not inhabited. They are mainly researchers living there. Now, of course, as everybody else, I think we've been impacted by Brexit. So following the withdrawal of the UK from the European Union, we will have the UK OCTs leave OCTA at the next conference that we have later this month. So after the summer, there will be 13 OCTA members: Aruba, the first one always, Bonaire, Curacao, French Polynesia, TAF, Greenland, New Caledonia, Saba, San Barthélemy, Saint Eustace, Saint Pierre et Miquelon, Saint Martin, and Wallis and Fortuna. A lot of our members, as you can see, are in the Caribbean. So what it is we do, we are mainly a platform for the OCTs, including Aruba, to reach their goals by collaborating, by having dialogue, by having common positions. And also we are, it is important to us to keep this forum as a way to strengthen the relationship with the EU as a whole. And we have quite a few areas that we cooperate in and follow up in the EU, and then liaise between the EU and the OCTs where necessary. And yeah, there's a picture from the conference we had in Aruba in 2017, and hopefully there will be more to come. So on to blue economy. And as a side note, I have not chosen the picture randomly. It is a picture of a tree in Aruba from our database. We have quite a wide database of beautiful photos from all over the OCTs. So blue economy, this is it's not one sector per se. It covers all economic activity linked to oceans, seas, coasts, and it goes from traditional things that we know of, like fisheries, tourism, to new areas, ocean energy, biotechnology, things that are coming up and that we don't even know about maybe. And just as an example that this is relevant, the EU wants to have 35% of its electricity from offshore by 2050. This, because it's renewable energy, falls within the remit of blue economy. Now, the transition to blue economy is a priority for the EU. They even have a recent publication on the blue economy report from last year, which looks at different sectors and how these are dependent on oceans and coastal environments. So this is all to give you a bit of context of why blue economy is relevant, why the EU is pushing for this, what this is all about in context, before I focus in on Aruba a bit later in my presentation. Now, this EU report, what's really interesting is that it looks at the potential for green recovery. And it mentions a sum of 750 billion euros in 2018 as an opportunity to overtake the crisis and grow stronger, more resilient, more healthful. So it's not only about protecting the environment, there's a lot of money in this sector. And this is the direction the EU is going into. Now, I promise this is my last slide with a lot of text. What the OCTs have in common, of course, is nature and biodiversity. And this, whether it be within the Caribbean, in the Pacific, in the North, is generally very rich and provides an extremely fertile ground for the development of blue economy. Through this study, we generally want to point that blue economy provides a threefold solution. It creates an awareness of the value of oceans in terms of monetary value and contribution to GDP and employment, of course. It creates a desire to understand the threats of overexploitation, which of course ties in again to the finance, but more in a long-term perspective, and then to stimulate an appreciation of the ecosystem. And this has to do more with a fundamental societal change. So our roadmap, this blue economy study, we like to call it a roadmap, is an analysis made from data collected through a participatory process from a very wide range of stakeholders in all the overseas countries and territories. And it looks at the aspirations, the gaps, the challenges, what is needed, and the authors. I mean, this is not something one person can develop. The authors who worked on this were truly specialists in their fields, and they came up with recommendations and objectives aimed to facilitate this transition. So I will now go a bit into what the OCTA Blue Economy Study is, and why it is important for Aruba and for the overseas countries and territories, and why we signed up to this. So the study is something that we launched in December last year with the aim of having a generic direction for investment and development. I mean, seeing as this is a trend in the EU, how does this apply to the overseas countries and territories? And for this, we had a very competitive tender and selected a consultancy that we felt had the best experts to conduct the study. And what we wanted to know is where the OCTs, so Aruba, Bonaire, and all the other overseas countries and territories are right now, what the potential in all these territories is, what is the gap, what is the difference between where we are now and where we want to be in 5, 10, 20 years, what new initiatives are out there in the world that we don't know about, because as you know happens, sometimes you are so focused on your work that you forget there is a whole world outside with other opportunities and initiatives. And to come up from these experts with recommendations for the future programming period. And I mentioned programming period. This largely refers to the EU multi-annual financial framework. We've generally found it very beneficial to synchronize everything we do and to promote that generally plans are synchronized with the European financial framework, because a lot of public funding is available in that framework. So this study sets out from this participatory process where the experts consulted with the stakeholders from a wide range of fields, and it was a public open questionnaire, but it was directed to specialists in their fields, whether it be private sector, whether it be governments, associations, and so on. And in parallel, they conducted a very thorough dating of policy. So that means looking at everything on blue economy that's available already in the OCTs, so including in Aruba and in all the other 13 of our members, and also at international level, at EU level, at World Bank level, and so on. And the surveys and interviews we conducted were particularly fruitful for Aruba, where we had 21 replies, which for the highly technical nature of the questions we were asking was among the highest feedbacks we got from all of our members. And then for the actual analysis of all these data and information, we decided to focus on 4 large sectors. That's maritime, tourism, energy, and food security. This is because for us, to cover everything imaginable on blue economy is impossible, because as I said, there are still areas that are being developed now that we didn't know about, which are related to blue economy. But maritime, tourism, energy, food security are things that all of the overseas countries and territories are faced with, that their economies depend highly on, and where there is potential of a lot more blue development. And what our study does, the results are that it comes up with 4 strategic priorities for all of the 13 of our members. It comes up with suggestions of projects, and these are big flagship projects, so really spanning multiple years with a lot of funding. It creates profiles for each overseas country and territory, including for Aruba, and this is something I will go in later, where it analyzes the current state of play, and it performs a SWOT analysis for every sector, so that's the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. And then it develops recommendations for the overseas countries and territories in the future. Now, these recommendations are both for all of them as a group, because, as you can imagine, for many of these relatively smaller island nations, it is difficult to have really large impact alone, and there's a lot of focus put on collaborating with other territories, with other countries. And also for individual cities, because despite the different sizes, there are things that can be done at local level and at national level, and our experts have looked into this. So the 4 strategic priorities that they looked at are, well, you can see them here. The first one is to create this blue economy sector at the level of all the 13 members. So this is meant to provide clarity for governments, for private sector, for academic sector, for investment. It is a way of saying that having commitment at national level that this is the direction in which we're going makes things easier, for instance, of predictability. The second one is the resilient knowledge-centric framework of this blue economy sector. So what it means is that you can't develop anything if you don't know what you're talking about, of course. So it focuses a lot on developing technical capacity, on infrastructure. It comes up with suggestions, which I will get back to later, such as technology parks or export expansions, and so on. The third one is reinforcing the ocean environment, the social and the economic interface between these 3 areas. Now, in the past, I don't know if you remember, it used to be a bit that the environment and development were sometimes at odds. And the point of blue economy is that they go together, that you create a system in which economic development does not hamper environmental protection or social welfare. And here they look at things like, again, data, but also maritime spatial planning, governance, enforcement of legislation, particularly in terms of illegal fishing, because that is something that is bad both for the environment and for investors who, of course, respect the rules and comply. So all this is something to look at. And finally, at safeguarding the oceans, in the point being that we need these oceans 20, 50, 100 years from now as well. So how do we create an economically profitable environment in which we can still be active well into the future, and in which the communities can prosper, and so on. Now, in addition to this, the study proposes flagship projects, which I will go into again later. And it has not yet been launched. We are launching it, I think, in 2 weeks on the 17th of June. And there's more information on our website. And I will go further into it at the end of my presentation. So the most interesting part, perhaps, after this very lengthy introduction, what are the opportunities that the study sees for Aruba? The study has a very detailed map first of a preliminary search for stakeholders in the blue economy sector. And of course, this is a picture of the map, but it's highly interactive, and it's helpful with the vision of clustering, of creating blue economy clusters, maritime clusters in the future, to know who are the economic agents, where they are, where the economic activity is centered, which of course is usually around ports, but precisely where. And the study also goes into quite a bit of detail on what's happening in Aruba right now, what is the status. So it shows that there has been constant growth of population, that the employment rate is low and generally very stable. Of course, 2020 being an exception, but I think 2020 has been hard everywhere. And the economic growth, which in Aruba has been constant over the past very many years. So what are the opportunities? And our experts, when looking into what they could suggest for Aruba, split the opportunities, the suggestions of development into the four topics that they were looking at maritime, tourism, food security, and so on. Now, on blue maritime, the first thing that came up is the added value that an Aruba Maritime Spatial Plan would bring. This would be something that creates a predictability that ensures that you don't come up with projects later on that can't be implemented because of environmental reasons, or that the environmental reasons block any sort of economic development and so on. So as any plan, it's good for future development. Then the maritime strategy at national level. This would be something more specific to blue economy, with the aim of developing this sector and looking at how investors, what direction investors could go in, which the government is also interested in. The development of an Aruba Maritime Best Cluster. Now, clustering is a very trendy term nowadays, but what the point of it is to bring all these stakeholders that work in blue economy together, and so that they can support each other. And how that happens is by first identifying who is part of blue economy right now and potentially in the future, be it government departments or private industries, then linking them together, then creating or thinking up a methodology for attaining a critical mass. So what's meant by that is having a cluster that is sufficiently dynamic and large that it can sustain itself, that the economic environment in the Aruba Maritime blue economy sector cluster is so well developed that it can resist impacts and shocks. And finally, communication. I mean, of course, you know that it doesn't matter how many wonderful strategies and plans you have. If you don't tell people about them, they don't know that they can take advantage and profit and save on initial investments by using structures that are already there. Another initiative that our experts came up with is this creation of blue growth observatories. This has to do with information and support, in the sense that these would be organizations. They initially think of three: one in the Pacific, one in the Caribbean, and one in Brussels. that would provide investors first with a platform to cooperate with information about why not funding opportunities, but also anything else that might be interesting, and to support them when we're talking about investors that have access to tenders or to EU, for example, funding opportunities, to support them in developing applications for this, which can sometimes be very technical and difficult to get into. Now, further recommendations include increasing skill capacity and access to education. And this sounds a bit banal when you say it, but it is something that can be done. And the way that they see it done is through Blue Innovation Centers that can help startups and at some point develop Blue Technology Parks. And this would be similar to the technology parks that we know from around the world, but would be focused on blue economy. And this does two things. It increases human capital, which is lacking in a lot of sectors, and it would stop the brain drain, which a lot of our members are facing as a problem, where you have very good, talented young people getting very high degrees and education abroad, but then unable to come back home because of a lack of career advancement opportunities. Other recommendations include this enforcement of public and private partnership initiatives. And Aruba, in this sense, is particularly well placed because there is a very strong public-private dialogue already present. And the implementation of the Green Ports Initiative. This is something happening at EU level, and surely it will start being expanded all over the world. The point is to switch from oil to green fuels by 2050, with the cruise industry committing to doing so by 2030, as far as I understand. So this is a great opportunity for Aruba to jump on an investment and an area that is going to develop. Now on tourism, of course you know a lot more about tourism than I do, but what our experts saw as interesting would be to have a blue tourism strategy that can bring together everything happening in the area of blue tourism. And this could be something done with neighboring OCTs, especially the ones closest. This means pooling of resources, and it's generally something that they suggest. Now on coastal tourism diversification opportunities, this is something that can be looked into. There's a growing niche of nature tourism, which of course right now a lot of the big revenue is in cruise tourism. But first there's a question of sustainability, and there is a growing demand for this niche tourism where there's smaller groups doing more nature-focused activities. Now, to do all this, there is a need to create more capacity in terms of sustainable management for the people in the industry. And for that, of course, trainings are an area where there is a requirement for more to be organized. In terms of partnership with other OCTs, what is viewed here is that, at least for EU funding, there is a preference for, it depends of course, but there is generally a good idea to have large funding applications with ambitious goals. And this is easier done in partnership with other countries and territories, or with other stakeholders, if we're talking about companies, NGOs, academia, and so on. Capacity building in natural resource areas. This comes back to the knowledge centers I was talking about before. It is about having more technical knowledge in some areas and more human capacity in other areas, because the administration, not only in Aruba, but in all the OCTs, of course, can't do all the things we've been talking about, surely because of lack of human capacity. So this is something that can be increased, and the private sector can contribute. Now on energy, our experts found Aruba to be exceptionally well placed in the sense that there is a wealth of information and of optimism regarding the sector, and this is indicated by all these green arrows that that you can see, and of course, there is potential for growth in the blue economy direction. There's a potential for offshore wind energy, wave, OTEC, marine storage, green hydrogen, and so on. And for this, these are very expensive to in terms of initial costs. So an initial pooling of resources with other overseas countries and territories is an opportunity. Then, of course, we've discussed this on the maritime cluster, but having an image of who is working on blue energy and bringing these people together from manufacturing to deployment to energy uses to infrastructure, anything and everything is very beneficial. On food security, there is support for increasing areas of coral and mangroves. This is good, of course, for biodiversity, but it is good for protection against sea incursion, from storms, and as a nursery for marine animals. On investment, it would be interesting to have, this is what our experts found, facilities tailored to smaller growers and fisheries, targeting the local market. It has been found that they have different needs from the large investment companies that can come in and have more of an impact. But it is an area with a lot of potential. In terms of, again, there's the need to map the food security stakeholders. So when we're talking about Aruba Blue Food cluster, we know who is active there and they work together and there's potential for expansion. And two interesting upcoming things that have been identified is this WWF Netherlands review and revision of legislation on environment and fishing, and the increasingly popular interest in home growing of fresh horticulture, which could be niches for further development. So I'm almost at the end. I will just go a little bit into what OCTA is doing in the future in this field. And I will go specifically on the webinars that we're having this month. One of them is tomorrow, and you can still sign up if you do it today on the Europe Enterprise Network and the New Single Market Program. Here, stakeholders from French Polynesia and New Caledonia are part of the European Enterprise Network Consortium, which is a great way to attract a lot of funding, and they will be sharing their experience and how they managed to do this. So I encourage you to sign up through our website. Then on Tuesday, there will be the World Oceans Day. Here OCTA has signed an Oceans Declaration in October 2019 regarding its commitment to the oceans, and a discussion with speakers from the Pacific, the Caribbean, and the Arctic regions on their transition to blue economy. And people from specific fields will talk about how their clusters have been evolving or what their industry area has done to adapt and so on. Then a Horizon Europe presentation, which is the first in a long series that we will be having on the actions for funding through Horizon Europe. This, of course, is a very large funding mechanism of the EU. And lastly, this study that I've been talking about at great length will be launched on the 17th of June, and the experts who developed it will answer a lot of questions, I hope, and you will be you can attend, ask questions, and there will be speakers from the European Commission hopefully talking about funding it. Now, I hope I haven't gone too long over time, and these are my contact details if you wish to contact me in the future, or our website, of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moarcas. That has been a very interesting presentation. I don't know about everyone else. I really had to pay attention. The blue economy is something that was a little bit new for me, but I'm very excited to learn about it. In Aruba, we've been mostly busy with the green economy and talking a lot about innovation, but I'm very happy to hear about this new blue economy initiative. To start off with the Q&A, I wanted to ask, I saw that you mentioned 4 strategic priorities. Are these in a orderly timeline, or what can we expect in terms of creating an impact for our ocean? What is the timeline that the OCTA has set out for this? So I will repeat the question. So I think you mentioned the 4 strategic priorities. I can't remember all of them on top of my head. But just to start thinking, because this is something that seems to be in a very early stage in terms of planning. So I wonder by what time do we expect to actually start having something more concrete for our oceans?
Yeah, it is a very good question, because the way we envisage this roadmap is as a guide to where we are going from here. So in terms of starting the actions, they can all be started at the same time, as early as just after the publication. But as you can imagine, some of these ideas, and especially the priorities, they are very detailed in the study and cover a very large, a very wide scope of areas. So it will take, I would say, a few years until we see the first results from the study. And of course, this is only meant as a guide, a roadmap. It is not a legally binding document in any way. It's more of a suggestion for what the OCTs and Aruba could aspire for if they wish to follow the EU in this blue economy, green economy trend. Because of course, blue economy and green economy go together naturally.
Yes, for sure. And how will we create awareness and support for the blue economy on Aruba? Because I don't know if this is something that has been very widely marketed already. And does the OCTA have a guideline or a plan for this? And how do we create more support so that things get done more quickly?
Well, it is baby steps that we have to take very quickly. You remember, of course, when green economy started being a catchphrase and we started using it, and then it took a bit of time, and now everybody knows what green economy is. It's going to be the same with blue economy. OCTA does have a few studies in the pipeline for this year and next year to see how we can expand knowledge and expand the recommendation in this blue economy roadmap. But a lot of it will be Aruba itself discovering the sector and promoting it. And some of it will be just the international context, because the EU is going in this direction. The US is talking about it. The World Bank is talking about it. So inevitably, it will be something that we know about. And this is the opportunity that we identified, that Aruba and, of course, the other OCTs can be at the forefront of this change, which I hope is inevitable.
All right. Yes, because these past few days, I'm not sure if you know, we also had some interesting talks from people in the maritime industry, and it would be nice if they also knew about this. We did not discuss the blue economy. I hope they're listening today, or else or someone there, that they can take this into account as well as a new opportunity in all the new projects that they are developing. What would you say would be the biggest challenge, though, in implementing the blue economy in this moment?
Well, difficult to say. There are quite a few challenges. I think, as in many things, the biggest challenge is getting started. Because from my point of view, once you start on this path, things flow naturally. Like, for example, you develop a maritime spatial plan with a focus on blue economy. That is something that takes initiative, that is very expensive, and that is why we look at all these financial opportunities in the study, including from international public funding. And once you start, creating a framework, things naturally fall into place and demand for more comes naturally. But I say that the biggest challenge is, that first step.
All right. And some people are asking, you have mentioned the Horizon 2020 as a possibility for funding. Will there be other funding options from the EU for, let's say, entrepreneurs or companies from Aruba who wish to venture more into this blue economy?
Yes, surely. So Aruba, as an overseas country and territory, has access to a very, very wide range of EU funding mechanisms, and that's, that is a very amazing opportunity for Aruba. And to give you an idea, we published a study, I think, 2 months ago, analyzing the amount of EU money spent in the OCTs, and of course this covers Aruba, and you can find it on our website. The details there exactly what the funding mechanisms that Aruba can access are, how successful it has been up to now, and of course for the future it's up to you to make the most of it.
Yes, for sure. And so yeah, to everyone listening, please visit their website from OCTA. And I can also say that for EU funding, you can also contact the Department of Economic Affairs for more information or direction if you don't know where else to look. Mr. Moarcas, I'm a big I'm a big ocean lover, I would say. And one of the issues that we see here in Aruba in terms of the health of our oceans or our part of the North Shore in Aruba, and I'm sure there are other overseas territories that face the same issue, is that we have a lot of trash coming on our shores. We're not sure where it's coming from. Does the OCTA plan also, the roadmap also plan to tackle this part of for us, it's part of our economy as well, because it's, how do you say, it's polluting our nature.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is a problem for Aruba and for the OCTs in general, for pollution and also for climate change, where Aruba is affected a lot by it, but it's not even a contributor, like a significant contributor to climate change. So in that way, yes, it is unfair. The study does not look at this in particular because it is more at a strategic level, so it doesn't come up with a recommendation strictly on pollution. However, the initiative it recommends, which include strategies on various sectors of blue economy, do. And that also covers water pollution, air pollution, and so on. And of course, when we're talking about blue fuels for ships and cruise ships and so on, that also hinges a bit on pollution and on ports and the whole infrastructure. Because the whole point of these maritime clusters that our experts have found would be an essential addition is that they can then grow where there is need, like a natural market. They will develop in the direction where there is a need for them, including pollution and including trash in the oceans and everything.
All right, thank you for that. I look forward to seeing this go into the works. As a last question, Mr. Moarcas, what do you think are the most critical changes that we can already start making to realize a blue economy effectively?
I think as I assume you mean as investors rather, but also as normal like citizens. I think that the first thing to do is start looking at the sector as I would say the next big thing, but it is already a big thing. So the direction in which you should consider developing, because maybe for some of you today is the first time we hear about this, but it is like green economy. It is green economy applied to oceans. So the first thing I would do is look into how I can have my professional activity directed in this direction of development.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Moarcas, for being with us today and taking your time for explaining all of this to us. It's certainly very interesting, also very complicated, I would say, material, especially being in its beginning phase. Next up, we will have a closing video message from our Prime Minister of Aruba, Her Excellency Evelyn Wever-Croes. Her Excellency Evelyn Wever-Croes is the first female Prime Minister of Aruba. She started her political career in 2009 and was sworn in on October 29, 2009 as a Member of Parliament of Aruba. In 2011, she was elected leader of the political party MEP. She resigned from Parliament to become Prime Minister of Aruba on November 17th in the year 2017. Prior to Parliament, Mrs. Wever-Croes worked at SIAT, a tax inspection agency, from 1989 to 2003, serving as head of the department since 1994. In 2004, after a successful career in the public sector, Mrs. Evelyn Wever-Croes took up a new challenge in the private sector as a tax advisor at Croes Wever-Chong until 2010. Mrs. Wever-Croes obtained a Bachelor of Law degree at the University of the Netherlands Antilles in 1986. Subsequently, in 1986, she moved to the Netherlands, where she earned her master's degree specializing in tax law from the Leiden University in 1989. In her words, "Politics requires hard work and a lot of sacrifices. However, I do it with much love, satisfaction, and commitment, because this is how I can truly help those who are in need. My goal in politics is to create better opportunities for everyone living on the island so that we can all develop and make our utmost efforts to build our country for better welfare for all." Please welcome our Prime Minister, Her Excellency Evelyn Wever-Croes.
Bon dia. It is an honor to share a moment with you today. Over the past few days, investors, economic development professionals, entrepreneurs, Aruba public sector representatives, and Kingdom of the Netherlands government officials came together for the virtual Aruba Investment Summit. Let me begin by thanking my colleague Minister of Finance, Economic Affairs and Culture, Xiomara Maduro, and the entire team at our Department of Economic Affairs, Commerce and Industry, led by Maria Dijkhoff-Pita, as well as contributing agencies and partners for putting together this great event and for bringing together thought leaders and industry pioneers. Congratulations! I also would like to acknowledge the attendance of Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Washington, D.C., Mr. Andrei Moarcas, and I would like to thank him for his support and cooperation for this summit. I also would like to welcome all Consul Generals of the Netherlands in the U.S. for joining us for this summit. Thank you for joining us. Please allow me to share a few concluding thoughts with fellow attendees and guests. If you could choose any place to start a new business today, or expand your market reach, or set up a strategic hub, you would want it to be in a place that offers you the best possible chance of success and strategic advantages. You also would want to choose a place that is taking a proactive and innovative approach towards our world's greatest challenges, such as climate change and inclusion. You will choose a place that has strong institutional capacity and that has demonstrated stability over the years. And I would think you would want to choose a beautiful place with a warm and welcoming community. Aruba offers all of what I just mentioned and much more. For Aruba, attracting investment in the new economic sectors you learned about during the summit is not solely about diversification of our economy or growth. The adoption and pursuit of sustainable and responsible economic practices in the short and medium term will prove to be essential to the realization of an inclusive and resilient economy in the long run that can withstand external shocks. No country is immune to external factors such as climate change or a pandemic. With our promising sectors policy, the ongoing structural reforms, and our ambitious digital transformation agenda, we are laying the groundwork to create new economic opportunities in the long run, to diversify the economy and mitigate the risks of climate change, the depletion of local natural resources, and other economic vulnerabilities. And this is how we are laying the foundation for the future of our people, and the future of your business. We've learned over the years that business doesn't stop at borders, and that wealth can be created with not much more than a laptop and a stable internet connection. The exchange of ideas and knowledge at the summit shows that Aruba offers a myriad of opportunities for foreign and local investors alike to create wealth while making a positive impact. And we hope you were all inspired by our speakers and thought-provoking conversations that took place at the summit. Our keynote speakers have shared how to leverage the opportunities Aruba offers to your maximum advantage. Brad Sugars from ActionCOACH Global shared insight with entrepreneurs, investors, and leaders on opportunities he sees in Aruba. You've learned about Royal Aruba Aloe, a local pride, an Aruban company that embodies the Aruban identity and a major success story in penetrating large foreign markets with a local produced quality product. Imagine the possibilities. Aruba's Investment Summit also offered a platform for the Association of Overseas Countries and Territories of the European Union to present findings on the opportunities within the blue economy for islands like Aruba. In closing, you will hopefully agree that Aruba checks all the boxes to be an ideal and future-focused investment destination. Aruba is open for happiness, and we are open for business. I invite you to check out our investment agency, Arena, that was relaunched during the summit. Arena is here to facilitate your Aruba investment experience in the most seamless way possible. I welcome you to choose or continue to choose Aruba as your investment destination. Thank you.
What a nice and strong message from our Prime Minister. Before I recap the highlights of the day, I would like to invite you to visit our poll. There will be 2 polls today, and since I have to recap them today, I invite you to start voting, and I will check them out in a minute. So today we were introduced to the Expo Desk of the Department of Economic Affairs, Commerce and Industry. Be sure to sign up for their Export Week next week. We also heard from Brad Sugars, who has encouraged us to use our expertise and think globally. And we saw that the Royal Aruba Aloe company is doing exactly that. So it is possible for us to think globally while producing locally. We also heard from Mr. Moarcas from OCTA, who had a lot of opportunities and showing us new things in the blue economy, which was certainly something that I have learned myself. And we closed with a nice and strong message from the Prime Minister of Aruba. Let me see how you rate day 3 of this summit. Give me 1 minute. All right, as the votes are coming in, most of you are rating that it's very good. We're still waiting for more votes. I would encourage you to vote even if the session ends, as feedback is very important for us so that we can improve our experience for you the next time we organize an Aruba Investment Summit or some event in this form. There will also be a questionnaire sent tomorrow, so we can get more detailed feedback from you. Please take your time to fill this in for us. We will appreciate this greatly. I would like to take another moment to thank our sponsors for their contribution to this event. ActionCOACH, Elite, GDP Digital, and CETAR NV. I would also like to thank the organizers of this event, the Ministry of Finance, Economic Affairs and Culture, the Department of Economic Affairs, Commerce and Industry, and the Aruba Investment Agency, Arena. Please don't forget, you can sign up for the one-on-one sessions on Thursday and Friday with Arena. They are between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. and will take about 30 minutes. And you can ask all your investment-related questions during this session. You can also contact the Aruba Investment Agency Arena by email or visit their, stay tuned for their website, which will be launched very soon, www.arena.away. Also, as a final reminder, we will have the roundtable session starting very soon, I think between 5 and 15 minutes, where you can ask all your questions to DIP, to Dimas, the Free Zone Aruba, Arena, and also the last one is, which I don't remember right now. You can, and the Free Zone, yes. So, thank you so much. Let me check out again what you have voted on the polls. So thank you for a lot of you who think today was very good. We look forward to hosting another event, and I hope you made important connections and learned a lot about all the investment opportunities on Aruba. My name is Wever-Croes, and thank you for being with me today.